All right, we're live. Well, welcome everyone to Soul Shift Thursdays. And I'm Kat Sticker. And today I have with me a very special guest. You can see Nessa Jones is with us. She is the founder of the Kindred Kevinstead. And we are here today to talk about spiritual transformations and why sometimes spiritual breakthroughs can look like breakdowns. Sometimes that happens for different reasons, but basically you can feel disillusioned. You may have it may cause a lot of anxiety. You may feel disconnected from people, not being able to relate to people that you love, and we're going to talk about three types of transformations. One is the dark night of the soul, and so we'll go into a little bit about what that is, and why it's important to hang get there because it has some benefits when you come out the other side. And then we'll talk some about shadow work, and that's Nessa's area of expertise. And we'll also talk about psychic breakthroughs and how that can cause anxiety. So, welcome, Nessa. How are you?
Good.
Oh, you
Excited
know
to be
what?
here.
I have something to share before we get started. I've been working on a diet and I have not added the exercise yet. That's always my weak point is the exercise plan. And so I got some new shoes. Look, they came in today. Look, they still have the paper in them.
Dude, those are
Ooh,
cute.
aren't those pretty? I got them from Academy.
They are.
It's like a
They
sports
look
store
super
here.
comfortable too.
Yeah, so I hope that I'll be able to get some good exercise in those shoes. And so I feel like that was a win.
That's something I've been telling Mark. Like, I used to go to the gym all the time and everything, and I haven't
Mhm.
done that in years. And it's something I like really want to get back into. I mean, it when you do that for yourself every day, it
That's something
really,
I've been telling
really,
Mark. Like
really
I used to
helps.
go to the gym all the time. Sorry. I want to make sure the stream's working.
I'm like, oh man, that sounds like me.
Whoops.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, no, it does. It does amazing things for physically, mentally, emotionally, and I mean that kind of goes along with what we're going to be talking about too.
Hmm. Hi, Mark. I see Mark Nibbles is with us. That's Nessa's husband. And Facebook user says those are Cyberpunk 2077 theme. That has to be my husband, Michael Sticker, because he said that earlier. So apparently so I'm using
We've got fans.
yeah, I'm using StreamYard today for the first time, and there's I don't know, some rule with StreamYard that it's like a privacy thing. They can't show me the names of the comments unless you click a link. You'll find that in the post for this stream that lets me see the names in the comments. I don't know, or I can just look on my phone and see the names. But I appreciate you guys joining. It should be an interesting show. So about the spiritual transformations, um, when we go through one, we don't necessarily intend to go through one, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes, and this is that was the experience for me with Dark Night of the Soul. And oh, I have to say this is terrible, but I actually went through Dark Night of the Soul twice. I don't know if that's common for people to go through it more than once, but I had two separate, like really large spiritual transformations that occurred about 10 years apart. And both times I went through this time of just really intense uncertainty, feeling like the rug had been pulled out from under me, like everything that I knew had been a lie, you know, kind of all the truths that I knew had been removed, and the people that I knew I had trouble relating to anymore, the people that before we were on the same page, and now I felt different. Um, and so that can cause people a lot of anxiety, depression, things like that. Have you experienced a dark night of the soul, Nessa?
Yeah, somebody just called my phone and I like can barely hear you now. So
Oh no.
I'm not
Oh,
sure. Why?
are others on the broadcast able to hear okay? Give us a thumbs up if you can. Hey Dash. Hey Crystal. All right. So you can't hear me, Nessa?
Like barely. What was your question? I'll try to do it like this. I'm not sure.
Sorry. So I was saying, all right, some of the Facebook users say they can hear us on the stream. Um, I was saying, have you experienced a Dark Night of the Soul type event?
Oh wow. Yeah. And it actually, when I look back on it, it was a really long process too. And to me, I think there's kind of like different levels maybe of ways that you can go through it, but like the one major time, it was like a 4-year span of going through this before I
Oh,
actually like broke out of it, so to speak, and came to that place in myself of an actual, I guess I would say like a rebirth in
rebirth.
a sense,
Right.
I mean,
It's
with
not just one
whatever
night,
it
people.
was that I was going through at that time.
Yeah.
But I have it wrote down here. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I looked up like the meaning to it. And
Mhm.
dark night symbolizes an obscuration. I can't say the word, so forgive me, guys, but I think you guys know what I mean. And soul, it refers to the individual's true essence.
Mhm.
So it's literally, um, to me, and going going through a phase where you're literally tearing down like almost any belief system that you have about whatever your lesson is at that time, and coming to the realization that everything that you have faced your being and who you are and your beliefs and maybe your lifestyles or religion and everything was completely false.
Yes.
And that's like when you
It
really go through that.
it can be very if you're not expecting it, like the times I went through it, I wasn't trying to go through a spiritual transformation. It just started happening.
Yeah.
Like now is the time you're going to learn this lesson. It was sent to me probably from my higher self, and I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was going crazy.
Mhm.
I felt really um, disconnected. I think from everything that had meaning before suddenly didn't have meaning, and it felt like a culture shock or something.
Yeah, that's actually a really good way of describing it. It is. It's almost like culture shock. Like everything that you have ever known
Mhm.
and lived by is now completely gone and different. Like it's that um that moment of like almost like the original fragmentation of source energy. Like that when it's completely raw and
Yes.
without void or void of
Yes.
form is what I meant.
And
But
like you said, it can last a long time. I mean, I think people go through it takes some different amounts of time to get through it. And looking back on the first time, and you know what was the catalyst when I kind of look back and analyze it was the events of 9/11, even though I wasn't in New York and I didn't have anyone who was I didn't know anyone personally who was harmed in that event, but it just really shook my world up, and I started experiencing this spiritual transformation.
Yeah.
And it did last a while. I guess about 2 years probably that I went through this process. And but when I came out the other side, things were so much better. I felt like a different person. Like you said, it's like a rebirth. And um, I was a lot, I had a lot of upgrades, I guess, to my spirituality. I had a lot more connection to spirit, and these psychic abilities that had been suppressed so long just came to light. I wasn't even trying to have any. They just started
Right.
happening. And so if when people start having things like this, it can be very disconcerting. They may not know what to do, but if you're going through something like that, don't worry. You will come out the other side. The reason you're having it is for your own good.
You're not
God
really
or your
going
higher
crazy.
self is really giving you this, forcing you through this transformation because it's time for you. You're ready. And
And
so,
sometimes it takes
yeah.
that.
Mhm. So you can, embrace the moment and start seeking your truth. Start, helping it along. If I knew what was going on, it probably wouldn't have lasted that long because I would have helped it along. But, I was just kind of getting bounced around with it and, "Oh, what's happening to me?
And that's how
Why
I
can't
was
I
too. My
why?"
dad actually
Yeah.
explained to somebody because, I mean, my life was so hectic at that time, and what really started it for me was, and I really didn't plan on talking about this. It just, I don't know, it's really nudging me right now, but when it really started for me was actually, I mean, the whole process, it just really came to me was actually like a 10-year thing. And it was
Mhm.
when I went through my divorce and for a while my children were not with me. And
I know that's hard.
when you're separated from your children like that, and that's, especially as a mother, and you really realize that life is something just completely different. Like it's meaningless at that time,
Mhm.
is how it feels. It's meaningless.
Meaningless.
And that was the only thing that was going to pull me through that was getting that low, I guess, to change who I needed to change into to become the mother that I needed,
Mhm.
excuse me, sorry, needed to be for my children.
Well, I
Not Rona,
also
I'm
felt
talking too much, I
like
promise.
I hit that rock bottom, at that point. It feels like hitting rock bottom, and you either have to, sink or swim. But
Yeah,
there you are ready for it, and so you will swim. Now, if you're going through, like, if you're actually going through depression because of this, or maybe you mistake depression for dark night of the soul, but you're going through depression, that's something you really need to get some medical attention for. And you don't want to mess around with depression and just blow it off as dark night of the soul. But um, they can kind of go hand in hand because of that, that feeling of meaninglessness, and some of the things have similar symptoms to depression.
yeah,
But when you come out the other side, things are a lot different. They're a lot better. Everything becomes clear. Your purpose, you get in touch with what the path forward. And it's like a whole new you, although your life may look a lot different. A lot of times, these spiritual transformations can result in letting go. And it's kind of appropriate day to talk about that because it's a full moon. That's when we like to release things that no longer serve us. And dark night of the soul, you're releasing things that no longer serve you, and sometimes that's really painful to accept. Um, and that kind of brings me into that next topic of shadow work. But before that, I want to just have a little call to action here. Um, in the Soul Shifters Guild Facebook group, and if you're joining us from another platform, um, we have a group called Soul Shifters Guild Facebook group, and so that's why I'm going to ask people to post in. Please let us know if you've gone through the dark night of the soul. How did your life transform, and did you think it was worth it going through all that? Now, I think it was worth it, sort of, but there's a lot of things that I wish I didn't have to have gone through to get there. I guess I'm just hard headed, and Spirit said, you have to like sock it to her and give her give her a hard lesson so she can move on and do the next steps. All right, so let us know about that. Now, Nessa, you have been posting like a challenge in the Kindred Kevinstead Facebook group. So, y'all, I'm going to throw up another Facebook group up here. This is the Kindred Kevinstead Facebook group. Check it out. Nessa has posted a challenge. It's a multi-day challenge. How many days is that challenge, Nessa?
Well, my goal, I started off with a small goal, which was just the 14 days. It's kind of going in like different series. My goal is to at least keep it going for the whole year of 2021.
Oh, wow.
The main
That's a
reason
lot.
being that I think a lot of people, are really trying really hard to work on themselves right now. And
that's true.
what better way to do it?
So shadow work, you guys, is not, some people think when they hear the term shadow work that is something, dark and could be something evil or whatever, but it's nothing like that. It's simply that inner work you're doing on yourself, because we all have a light side and a dark side. Can you tell us more about like what shadow work is and why it's important?
Shadow work is basically looking at the things within yourself, the different archetypes and things that have built up in your belief system, or unhealthy things, habits, just things that do not benefit you and your soul and its evolution process. And you look at these things different, and it can get really, really deep, different traumas, like childhood traumas, and it takes you through this process of every time you figure out another thing about yourself that you need to work on, well, where did that come from? And it goes deeper and deeper and deeper as you go. And it can be very emotionally and mentally challenging. And that's why also through my challenges, like there are days, it's not something you have to do right there every day. It's something you do personally by yourself. And if you need to take like a week break before you move to the next question or topic, that's a huge thing in shadow work, is to be accepting of yourself, because that's what it's all about, is being accepting of these things that are within you, and literally accepting them and loving them so that they can be transformed and transmuted into something beautiful, instead of just latching onto you for your whole life.
And what do you think is the best way to like analyze what type of shadow work you need to do on yourself? Like how do you find out what are the issues that you have inside? Should you just intuitively know that?
Well, a really good tool and a tip on that is to listen to other people when they tell you that, you're doing this, this, or, they see this, especially people who love you. I'm not
Yeah.
saying listen to what everybody says, but sometimes, even those people that you want to call them haters, they can bring things up and
Mhm.
point things out, because that's what they do. They'll take, the so-called negative things, but I don't like to call them negative things, because these things are there for a reason, and it's all part of um your process of growing your soul and
Mhm.
integrating your soul with your spirit. And that's the goal, is to try to um vibrate in your soul on a frequency that can align with your spirit more and more. And that's
Yes.
why, as you go through this, your gifts and your abilities and your connection with source, God, whoever, whatever it is to you, that's why that becomes more
Mhm.
open as you go through it. It's because you're literally integrating your soul with your spirit
You're
as
trying
you go through this.
to move who you're supposed to be, who you were
Right.
who you determined before you were born you were supposed to be, and align with that, divine blueprint, basically.
Right.
And so you have to be really honest with yourself, and that doesn't mean you have to be super critical. I think it just means trying to take an objective look at yourself, and then diving in as far as to an emotional level, um, of keep drilling down to ask why. What is the root cause analysis of why I do this? These are my values, or these are what I think are my values, and where I want to be, but I'm way far away from that. Why? What's happened in my past, or what is causing me to not, have the courage I want to have, or um, experience anxiety whenever I go to do this when I feel like that's my calling, and those kind of things, right?
Or your own self-confidence,
Mhm.
how do you feel about yourself, really truly inside? How do you feel about yourself? Because there's nobody else in this world that really knows you like yourself. I mean, you're the only person who really knows everything that you've been
That's
through,
right.
every single one of your secrets, every emotion you've had, all your dreams, and everything else. So you are really the only person who can do this for you.
That's right. Now, and I have done some of the shadow work for myself, and basically, what works for me is writing it out. Writing out, like, my memories and my feelings about a particular thing, and when I start doing that, I don't start out being emotional or anything, but when I start writing it out, all of a sudden I just have this rush of memories and emotions that I didn't have before I started writing it. So for me, writing is a really good conduit for getting to the root cause of those things and shedding some light on those dark shadows.
Right? And that's what it's all about.
Mhm. Do
Yeah,
you do
you
you
got to
also use
search them
writing,
out
or
yourself.
how are there other ways people do it other than just write? I'm a writer, so I fall to writing, but does everybody do it with writing, or are there other ways people get to that?
Oh, there's shadow work can be done in any way, just like any other form of magic or
Mhm,
healing or you know spirituality or belief. I mean, you can incorporate it in everything and in everything in different meditations. You know,
mhm,
different acts throughout the day. Make yourself just stop. Say 3 times a day and make yourself stop and in your head go through my head. How am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling this way?
mhm. But I guess you could, go through do some meditation as well. Maybe do even a shamanic journey or something like that to work through some of those things if you're advanced.
Right.
Yep. Um, well, thank you. We're getting some comments. Crystal says, "This is beautiful." Here, this is beautiful. This is healing and guiding together. And Dash says, "I love writing." So
Yeah,
Mark says he
I
loves
write quite
this.
a bit.
We're getting a lot of good comments, feedback on this. Um, so with regard to shadow work, do we ever finish doing shadow work, or do you think that's something we do our whole life? Like a lifelong practice that we should from time to time do some?
I think that I believe that it's something that you work through your whole life. It's like a spiritual mortification process.
Yeah, I think so too, because there's a lot of layers to the onion to peel back, and the more that you think that, "Okay, I'm all set now. I resolved that issue, and I released all this stuff, and I'm all good," and then something else, eventually comes up, and you get triggered, and then there's something else that you it's like,
It's
"Okay,
because
I'm sort of back
you
to square
become
one."
conscious of it, and it
Mhm,
becomes a habit in your mind and in your feelings and in your actions throughout your day. If you discipline yourself to do it
mhm.
and to continue doing it, because you're gonna want to stop. I
Well,
promise you that you're gonna want to stop.
I have really been able to come to a level of forgiveness for, people, um, and things that I felt wronged in the past through shadow work, and it's been very healing for me,
Yeah,
to do that. So, nothing comes easy though, right? With the spirituality, it's always, you got the dark night of the soul, that's kind of a big thing, and then the shadow work as you go, they may be smaller, um smaller cases of emotional uh, breakdowns, but they can cause,
yeah,
they can trigger you a little bit. But it's not usually something that's like a 4-year thing from one thing of shadow work. I don't know. For me, it usually only lasts like maybe a day or two.
yeah.
And then I'm able to heal and move on, and I'm really happy with the results. So I hope that you guys will go to the Kindred Kevinstead and check out Nessa's challenges.
Yes, come
Um,
check it out. Share it if it's
yeah.
something that you resonate with, and share it out, please, because the more
Mhm.
people who heal, better off we're all gonna be.
Yep. So one thing that comes out of spiritual work is when we experience an increase in our psychic abilities. And remember, I said like I just automatically got a big increase on some of the dark night of the soul things, and all of a sudden I'm like having visions and dreams and being able to do things that I couldn't do before. But whenever we're able to upgrade our psychic abilities, um, there are going to be more things that you're exposed to that maybe you hadn't been exposed to in the past. And for some people, that can cause anxiety or fear because they're not sure if those things are safe. For instance, like you might start seeing spirits or other entities, multidimensional beings. You might astral project or connect in another dimension, and it could be frightening. Um, so have
Very
you ever
frightening,
had any
especially if you've never even heard of it.
yeah, have you ever had any surprises with psychic experiences that you weren't expecting?
What was that? I'm
Yeah.
sorry, my cup's rattling.
Oh,
I couldn't hear
that's
you.
okay. Have you ever had any surprise experiences with some psychic connections?
um, especially with astral travel. Um, that that is something that has blah, 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 had experienced since like a small child. My mom
Mhm.
tells me stories of when I was a baby and a toddler, telling her and doing things that, in as long as I can remember. And it, for a really long time, it freaked me out because I knew nothing about it. And I grew up in a very strict Christian, and a lot of my family's Pentecostal family. And those are things that you just don't even talk about. I mean, at that point in time, like you have a devil, and so I mean, it wasn't really something that I could even talk about or try to understand until I was like 13, 14 years old, and I really started studying things on my own, and like, hey, these other people are experiencing the same thing, and started learning about that. But I don't normally see things, unless
Mhm.
it's in my dreams. I know a lot of people have like visions and things. I'm not going to say I never have, because I have, but I can count on one hand how many times that
Mhm.
has happened to me. And it was a very extreme case of something that really needed paid attention to. Um, I I do a lot of my things like that in my sleep. I call myself a dream walker.
I also have a lot of dream experiences that, um, I get like a lot of information in my dreams, and it's I have a lot of predictive dreams and things like that. When I remember them, I don't know. I haven't had a lot more trouble remembering my dreams lately, but the whole time growing up, I had a lot of dreams, and I didn't even realize how much I had really had coming through. A lot of times I would kind of dismiss dreams as just being a dream when they really had a lot of value that I should have analyzed more in it. So it's definitely good to look at dreams. Oh, we have let's see who says, oh, Dash says, wow, I grew up in the same type of household.
Yeah, it
And
makes it
Mark
difficult.
says being open is the hardest first step.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um, so when people experience things that they're start having psychic experiences that are frightening, the first thing you need to do is protect yourself, right? And one of the best ways you can do that is to learn to stand in your dominion, that you have dominion over the spirit world, and because you are in 3D, and they're not going to be able to harm you, and you can have them go away if you're not comfortable with that. So that is one thing you want to try to look into. And then there are other methods of psychic protection and cleansing, and so those are things that you'd want to probably do to feel more comfortable with it. But it's not really a reason to stop exploring. I don't know. I'm an explorer, so I like it, nothing really
Yeah.
frightens me too much. And even if it does, I'm like, cool, frighten
Right.
me some more,
Yeah,
because
I know. I'm the
just give me
same
what you
way,
got.
but
I want to know more. I want to see, like, come back. I'm not done talking to you.
yeah, I'm the same way. But it's kind of cool that you said that, because Michael's actually said the same thing earlier on the gaming thing that he was
Oh,
streaming,
yeah. Did you?
and
Mhm.
he said something like, you can't, not to let the fear overtake you, because that's what gives them their power.
That's right.
And the
And what
more
we've
fearful
had
you are, the more you are empowering them. You have to, and everybody has the ability to control your thoughts.
That's right. And we've had several lessons on Dominion, um, and they were really valuable in that regard. And it's just good to know about that kind of thing. So use your use your God mode ability. That's gotta be Michael. Yes.
Right.
Very cool. Um, so you want to go ahead with your spiritual development. Don't let fear hold you back, because there's so much more waiting for you, and your higher self will protect you and not let you experience more than you can handle. You can handle it. And you can look for, once you start going through these spiritual transformations, you can ask for upgrades. You can ask for attunements that you want. Like, I really wanted some healing powers. Can you please give me an attunement for healing powers while I'm asleep? And you know, when you start asking spirit for that, they will give you what you ask for. Um, so you really just have to find out what it is you want to explore and how far you want to go, because you can just keep going. So
Right.
I guess my tip would be that all that truth is within you. You know these things. You have you all have always known. You have these memories. They're just suppressed memories of all these abilities that you have and the access to that. Um, so you have to kind of take that first step to seek out those things and be able to stand in your dominion if that type of thing's frightening to you. So, and we have um, some workshops coming up. Now we have like 3 workshops coming up in um, February, March, and April. And then over this summer, we're taking a break from workshops. And then we have 3 more in September, October, and November. And these kind of all build on each other, but you can take any one of them individually. The first one is called Power Vibe on February 6th. That's coming right up. And I am in the midst of developing materials for that. That is all about raising your vibration. Creator Power on March 6th. That's more about vision boards and visualizing and creating the future that you want and being able to manifest those things, right? And then these things build up, and we will be covering all kinds of things like increasing your psychic awareness as we go through these workshops. So be looking out for those. I hope you can join us for the February 6th one that's coming up. It'll be fun. And if not, we will have the recordings of that and everything, but it'll be more fun to do it together and have the handouts and be able to ask questions live. So I hope everyone can join that. I hope everyone likes the new StreamYard platform. It's really working pretty easy for me.
I think it worked out good, you know, a lot better than some of the other ones that we've tried.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think I might even I hate to say that, let my Zoom go. So I have like a premium Zoom account, but if I don't need it, why should I pay for that? So, well, you guys, I am so glad everyone could join us. And hi, Julia. I see Julia just joined us. Julia, we were just wrapping up, but I hope you can join the replay. Julia is one of the people that I get some of my crystals from, and she has such a good heart. So check out Julia's page too. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Nessa, for joining me
Yeah, thanks for
tonight,
having
joining
me
all
on,
of us
Catherine.
tonight. And next week, what is our topic next week? Okay, so even though we talked a lot about spirituality, this was kind of supposed to be focused on the pillar of mind, and next week's the pillar of spirit. So next week, the topic is 3 signs spirit is trying to get your attention. And that'll be a fun topic too. So we'll see you next week, everybody. Thank you. Good night.
See you guys.